A curious test case at the Tribunal as bomber Dylan Shiel faces suspension for the push that set off a chain reaction.
Carlton's incoming chief executive explains his faith in Michael Voss as the first change is made in the football department.
And our W edition of Players' Nights, rival captains Ruby Slicer and Abby McKay join us ahead of opening night season 2.
We talked about is step into it, embrace all of it.
Get in the room and fix it.
It's unedifying for a senior coach to do that.
Err on the side of caution with the brain. Take the man off.
They played the best footy I've ever seen at the start of the season. And if you'd said Brisbane lift the cup, I would have said, of course they do.
It's the stuff that legends are made of.
What is holding the ball? I don't think I could answer it clearly right now.
I could do something wrong, and I need to go, and the board sacks me.
The fans love it, and with no fans, no 360, right?
The day of major announcements, I want you to feel the beats. Gaz, you've got to be in exactly the right mood. You've got to get your shizzle, you've got to get your gin and juice, you've got to get your weed, because Snoop Dogg is coming to the grand final.
What have I done to Jared? Sorry, I'm sorry. Gonna get your weed organised.
Yeah, you've got to drop it like it's hot.
I'm not. Is this Snoop Dogg?
This is Snoop Dogg.
Yep. I'm not a music man, as you know, Jared, but I'm really not a music man on the back of this. Is this going to get 100,000 people up out of their seats? I know he's going to be great in the lead-up. I think the dog will be great. You bring a Martha with him, but in the lead-up he'll immerse himself. I don't know. You got to tell me.
So
you're the rapper amongst us.
This was half-time in LA at the Super Bowl, so Dr. Dre and Eminem. And so he had a support crew with him.
And that's the home of this sort of hip-hop rap stuff, isn't it?
How
old am I
MCC
sounding?
members going to go?
Yeah, exactly. There we are.
How heavily edited will he be?
Anyway, it's a big name.
He's a global superstar,
Big
so
name.
massive traction.
And I'm sure he'll immerse himself in all of the carry-on in the lead-up, which will be great.
Yep.
We could get him on our radio show. And look, I'm sure he'll do a great job. Yeah. I'm just not... It's not my bag, but anyway. I'm not the target audience
it's nothing but a G
for the
thing,
dog.
Gaz.
That's what?
Nothing but a G thing.
Jared, I'd stop there. Oh, you're going to lose half our audience if you continue on like that.
I've spent the day fundamentally understanding the truth. I'm not in the cool
He
corner.
must have one song that even nuffs like me can identify and recognise. Otherwise, it's a poor choice. That's the bar. At least one, Jared. No?
It's all...
Wouldn't want to be that one.
It's all on Andrew Dillon here.
Come on, Dills.
It's been a long process and a complicated process, but it always is. But we're really happy that we've got a iconic music act who's going to be on the biggest stage in Australian sport on the last Saturday in September. And he's been at the Super Bowl, been at the Olympics, so yeah, can't wait for it.
Have you ever heard of AFL before having a tap on the shoulder?
He had a bit of an idea. He's got a team, the Western Bulldogs. I think his favourite player was Bailey Smith, but he was a bit flat. He left and went to the Cats. So
A little zinger from Dills. Bailey Smith would be into the dog's work, I reckon.
Yep. All right. Are we in for... So do we want him on our grand final show?
Damn straight we do.
Yeah,
I'll become a convert by then, if you can get him here.
All right, here's what we have lined up for you tonight. We're at the Tribunal in a few moments' time with David Zeta Ray Chamberlain on the push that he called out right at the start of the season, and it continues on. Our captains for the Thursday night opener of Season 10 of AFLW, Ruby and Abby, are going to join us at the desk. Then all the footy news, and isn't there a lot in the trade space at the moment? Lauren Wood, John Ralph and Scott Gullen as the home and away season reaches its climax.
Is that heating up?
Yes, it is. Right. And then tomorrow night, Simon Goodwin will be with us at the desk. So we've lived the season of a senior coach, didn't make it to the end of the season. So these things break in a few different directions. Simon will be with us a week after his sacking from Melbourne. John Longmire and Adam Simpson and Emma Moore and Laura Kane with the big picture of Season 10 of AFLW.
It's great. We've got the two captains, the two girls coming up. That'll be an awesome big game Thursday night to kick the season off.
Give us a Tuesday favourite. You flagged this last night.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this last night, but I'm happy to do it now. Archie Roberts' year with the Essendon Footy Club. It's been a challenging year for Essendon in so many aspects. But and you can be... What happens in these things, and I'm sure the selectors won't be doing this because they have to pay attention, but you can lose your way in a long season, and Essendon become one of those teams that unless you're a real Essendon fan or your team's playing against them, you can be forgiven for not watching them as closely as others. as you would Adelaide with Daniel Curtin, who's the favourite, and he's an outstanding young talent as well. But if you haven't been watching, you miss this bloke. No one's had more footy than him in terms of the NAB Rising Star fancies. He's the red hot favourite is Curtin and Reid. Murphy Reid would be both great winners. He's had as good a year as Levi Ashcroft in my mind. Levi Ashcroft I'm a massive fan of as well. Look at his composure, his class, and he puts a very, very high price on every possession he gets, Jared. So he's averaged almost 25 touches a game, which is a big number for a first year. Well, for a rising star player. Played a few games last year. And he puts value on the possessions. So he's got better and better and better. And I think he's in the argument right up to his eyeballs.
So you've done the work historically on rising star contenders.
And it's not just numbers. I mean, we know that footy's much more than just possessions, but he does find it, and he finds it in a team that is, you've got to weigh all these things up. Daniel Curtin's playing, on the wing in the premiership favourite and playing really well, so that puts him in contention. Murphy Reid has been great from the word go, but don't sleep on this young guy. I think he's had an outstanding year. They're a bit off Broadway because their season's dropped away, but the selectors won't have him off Broadway. He'll be right there.
Has to be on the ballot paper. Yeah. Well done. That's
what do you got?
Case, mate. North's new Nana. Were you watching this on Sunday? This was fantastic. When we get the first look at the family of a debutant.
Yep.
So this is Cooper Trenbath, and his nan, Vicky, is in the stands. Now, he's picked up in the mid-season trade period out of the VFL program. Yep. Nan's barracked for the Bulldogs. She's a member, a 50-year member. Wow. So this is a stretch as on goes the North scarf. And then Hutto told the beautiful story that the highlight of her day, other than seeing her grandson kick his first goal, was she got to meet Caleb Daniel, who she had cheered to a premiership at the Dogs. That's so good.
And he played well.
Yeah.
Gagged 3 and Nan's had a magnificent day out because she met Caleb Daniel.
Yeah. Vicky captured our hearts. It was beautifully told throughout the broadcast,
Great
and
stuff.
that does give you a way into it, doesn't it?
Awesome.
All right, top of the agenda. It's a curious case at the Tribunal. It's one that doesn't fit the regular parameters, and it has caused a lot of debate. From the very moment it happened, the chain reaction set off by Dylan Shiel. The question sitting over it, is this a suspension, and is it captured in the rules?
Oh, no.
Heavily.
That's Dylan Shiel pushing. That's dangerous by Dylan Shiel.
He's landed on his head.
What was your flinch reaction when you saw that for the first time, Kiggers?
It didn't look great. No, and the way that Luar landed, geez, your heart missed a beat there for a second.
We teach craft, we teach about engagement, early contact, late contact. He's made early contact. Is he protecting the space for himself? If he is, let him off.
Yeah, I didn't like the action. I think, all the way back to Ryan Mansell earlier on in the season, it's a similar type act and it could have ended really badly.
I don't think he's planning to push someone into his teammate, so sorry to argue with you, Kingers, but I see it the other way.
We did the game, and as soon as it happened, I said to Brent, that action has to get out of our game.
If they think that he's pushed an opposition player trying to push him into someone else, then that's a different thing. I can't see it that way looking at that.
The action has been problematic since the scratch matches this season. Gaz, in the moment you saw it, sometimes just the flinch reaction is the best reaction. You just immediately know.
Yep. And I know you're going to go into the intricacies of the tribunal and how difficult it is. I could take this one. I'd say that's a week. Just Dylan pushed him into a player. The player luckily didn't break his neck. And we don't want him in the game in any way, shape or form. Give him a week. Won't happen again.
So how to try that case under the laws as they are written. David Zita, welcome.
Hi, Jared. Hi, Gary.
From the very outset of this case, when no charge was actually laid and no plea entered, this has been highly unusual.
Yeah, both sides admitted this is a very unusual case. It's been referred to the tribunal ungraded, and that is not something that normally happens, if ever, with the tribunal. You can count on one hand the amount of times this has happened. So Dylan Shiel gave evidence, and he said that his eyes were on the ball up until after the push. He says he was executing craft. He was trying to create space and make sure he could get to the ball. He didn't understand that Luman Lual was injured from that marking contest until after it. So he went to the bench and said, how come Lual is being assessed for an injury? They said it came out of that marking contest. He said he was shocked. He had no idea. So again, the technicalities of this case are quite interesting. It is worth noting Renee Enbom, KC, is chairing the tribunal tonight, not Jeff Gleeson, so a departure from the usual makeup of the tribunal. David Neitz and Darren Gasper, the other two members. So the Bombers say that the laws of the game and the intention around rough conduct and the spirit and intention is around the protection of opposition players. So they say this should be about Mark O'Connor, where there is little to any impact suffered by him. And the AFL, for its part, says that this is something that should be looked at through the lens of what happened to Lual. So they say this should include what happened. The Bombers say that other players cleared out of the space. Shiel's eyes were on the ball until after the push. He was trying to protect the drop zone. It was a legal footy act. O'Connor was pushed down the wing. There was no high contact. The AFL says Shiel is guilty of conduct against an opposition player in which the circumstances is unreasonable. They said he should have reasonably foreseen that what took place in this incident could have happened. Ultimately, they've been deliberating for over 90 minutes, so this has gone longer than the actual case itself. I think it goes to show just how difficult a case this is to assess. We didn't even hear, really, a submission of what the penalty should be or how this should even be graded. So this is very much a departure from anything we've seen in tribunals before. That's why we are all a bit confused and we're all in the dark as to what the tribunal's going to come back with when they hopefully get back in the not-too-distant future, Jared.
So the AFL invited the tribunal to consider not just the contacts on O'Connor, but then subsequently what happened to Lual, and Essendon argued that that's misconceived.
Correct.
That is not how the law is written.
Yeah, so this is all about where the onus is and who we should be taking into account here. The Bombers say it's just Mark O'Connor. The rules and the spirit and intention of the laws of the game and rough conduct is about opposition players and protecting them, whereas the AFL says this takes into account your teammates as well as opposition players, and therefore Lual's injury, or at least the scare to him regarding injury, should be considered. So that's where the key divide is in regards to this case, and that's what I think the tribunal is spending a lot of time scratching their heads over, trying to come up with a result.
Yes, because they're essentially being asked to write a rule. So either come back and say this is not captured in the rules, or we're going to intervene and by case law add it to the rules.
So sometimes in these instances you just go, what do I want the game to look like? Do we want to watch Friday night footy, Brisbane versus Fremantle with spots in the 8 on the line, and that is allowed to happen summarily throughout the game? Blokes just pushing guys into traffic. Is that what we want? So make your decision on the basis of what you want the game to look like. And we don't want that in our game. We don't want... So O'Connor was out of control of himself for a split second, a stumble, because he got pushed into traffic. That's not what we want in our game. So stamp it out today. If you don't stamp it out tonight, we're going to go Friday, Saturday to showcase games, and you're giving a licence for blokes to push other blokes into traffic.
Yep.
That's what you're condoning.
So it's either tidy it up tonight, or I'm sure it will get tidied up at the end of the season now that we've seen where the loopholes are.
Yeah, and, you know, but for the grace of God go all of us, that Luau didn't break his neck, and then Mark O'Connor, I mean, another step closer, and he's getting hit in the head because he's out of control, and this is not a whack on Dylan, but that's just not what we want in the game. It's easy, Jared. For me, it's not hard. It's easy.
Yep, so a football tribunal would be able to do it, but with the lawyers and the KCs, it's much harder.
Well, that's hard, but in my eyes, it's stamp it out either now or just say next time it happens, it's over.
All right. Here was Brad Scott, the Essendon coach, today.
Well, the umpire paid a push in the back, I think. Yeah. So there was a free kick. The Geelong player wasn't injured. Struggle to see how there's a case to answer. Talk about a triple whammy. We had a player injured, a free kick against, and then a tribunal case. So we've been penalised 3 times without the opposition actually being the victim, as far as I can see.
All right, so he's been consistent all the way through. We'll go back to David Zeta as soon as we had a verdict. There's a second case tonight, Rory Laird. So the Crows veteran is desperate to be there on Saturday night, as you would be. He's currently facing a one-match suspension for this incident, which will get heard immediately after the Dylan Shiel case to see if he can argue his way out of that and get himself on the field on Saturday night.
Let me have a look. I haven't seen this, Jared. Well, he got up and played the game out, Jamie Cripps.
Yep.
No concussion, is that right?
Concussion.
So it's not outcome-based, is it? I mean, people keep telling me it's outcome-based, and, you know, if you get knocked out and you get concussed, then you're going to get suspended. Well, he played the game out. You could argue that that's a $1,750 fine on the basis of how it's been adjudicated over the last couple of years.
Manner of the approach, shoulder into the face, it'd be an interesting bar to test.
What happened to 2 weeks or none, 3 weeks or none?
Yeah, well, because there's no concussion.
Is that it? When
Yeah, so if he's left Cripps concussed, he just gets straight out 3 weeks.
It's a mess. It's just a horrid mess, this tribunal, Jared.
It's all right.
Your area.
Let's get to Carlton.
Yes, please.
We heard from the incoming chief executive for the first time today. I don't think there's been a man who's been more speculated upon what he's thinking and what he might do than Graham Wright. He tipped his hand with the board last week, backing Michael Voss, and that was ratified. And then he made the first move today, tipping out the head of footy, Brad Lloyd. Here was the chief executive's view of Michael Voss being taken into the last year of his contract.
We looked really heavily into Vossi over the last 6 weeks or so, I think, which Rob said we'd do, in a calm and rational manner, which we've done. Looking at a whole range of things and talking to a whole range of people in our football department, and we're really clear that Michael's the guy to lead us into the future. He's a fantastic leader, and it's been a really difficult year from that perspective because we haven't performed well enough. As I said, 14th on the ladder. We've had a number of injuries towards the back half of the year, him blooding some young players, but then a collective view that this wasn't just a one-person issue, that it wasn't just about Michael, it was about our players. We haven't got enough good players. We're like every team, we want more good players, I suppose, or elite players, and those guys are in that category. I'd hope they're here, they're all contracted. Right at the moment, we're 14th on the ladder, and that's not good enough. So we need to be better than that, and how we get better than that will come to fruition.
So believes in Voss's leadership and coaching, believes in the game style, which took them to 2 final series previously. 0-4 at the start of the year, unsettled them, and then clearly able to say injury has played a major role. Conceded that they cut back too deep at the end of last season, so the depth has been not there or too young, and protected the core of the team, so the name players, the highly paid players, if you like, conceding that they will lose De Koning and highly likely to lose Silvani through free agency, but they must acquire, but without disrupting that senior core.
So how do they do that is the next question, isn't it? So he's said there's mitigating circumstances that find themselves in the position they're in, and that's fine. I'm not a Carlton supporter, but I can live with that. If that's the conclusion that he's come to after having been there for the season and watched it, and he's experienced enough, then you can sell that, Jared. That's sort of putting him into the beverage category of this year now. Okay, we understand this. I still think you can coach. I still think there's big upside. So now you've got the imprimatur to go after it. So they want to start well and they want to be competitive and all that stuff next year. But I don't have a problem with that. And if you had made the decision the other way, you could live with that as well. So there's a lot on his shoulders, and he's got great experience. And now it's over to Vossi and the list management team.
So the way Wright spoke is they intend to contend next year. So he's not going to pull it apart and reset it or rebuild it. They want to add. They don't have the quality of player that they expect throughout the full depth of the list, and they do believe that Michael Voss is able to return them to final.
Well, that's a challenge. Then he either will or he won't. I think they're a way off. Well, when I say way off, it's just how quickly they can add to the areas of the game that they are desperately needing, and that is ball retention and protection of the footy when they've got it and disposal. I think that's the biggest issue. And then that's assuming all the players who have been injured are back and playing senior footy. So that's a totally justifiable position, not that he needs any endorsement from me or you, to take, but now we're going to watch and see how you go about it.
Yeah,
it is an unanswered question.
It's uplifting when a club backs its coach, I reckon. And there are highly successful examples of it, and there are ones we go, oh, it didn't quite pan out, but they'll run the full journey with him.
Yeah. So the full of next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, they'll give him every chance to succeed.
And I think that's all you can ask for. Yeah. And he's contracted to next year, so he's going to have a massive summer. And the thing that he can then throw at these boys is, hey, I'm not leaving anything on the table here. So don't come expecting that we'll get it right in 18 months. So I think that's a good thing too. Yep. So if you want to play senior footy in this Carlton team and you can't kick, you got a summer of kicking every single minute of every single day. Otherwise, you don't play. I think that's a good message. One that Melbourne will embrace as well. It's the same deal.
Yeah. So Melbourne are the one club who have the coaching vacancy, and the process will start soon enough. Nathan Buckley has been thrust forward by all and sundry, and that meant last night on the couch, that seat was particularly hot.
Nathan Buckley, it's great to have you on the couch tonight.
Didn't see this on the running.
Do you want to coach next year?
I don't know if I will or not.
Do you want to?
I don't know if
you want
do
to.
or not, no. There's a spot available now, and this is the first time that I've actually wanted to go further down the track to find out what that challenge would be and whether it would fit for where I'm at in my life as well. I took a call from Don Pike, but I said to him I'm not in the space to consider that. And I think I'm in a space to consider it now. It's more to understand Melbourne's challenge and where they think they're at, where they think they need to go forward. I am but one of many candidates that will be really good options for Melbourne, and they'll go through their process and they'll choose the person that they think is best placed to take them forward. There's multiple good options. There's multiple good decisions. It's not just one person. So I think that's got to be really clear up front. You know, I have kicked around with Tassie as well to have a look at that, but that's been dormant for probably 6 months. So that's as open as I can be about it. You might have a lot of questions. I don't have a lot of answers.
Let's play a little bit of real or overreaction with Melbourne and then with St Kilda. So broadly speaking, a deep dive on the demon list will encourage.
I think it's an overreaction because it won't discourage either. The list is good enough not to turn anyone off. I don't think it's a list that you look at, as some did at the West Coast Eagles, for instance, and go, no, that's not for me. I think there's enough there to not discourage, and if that's encouragement, then so be it. So that's where I sit with that. What about a deep dive on the demon facilities will discourage?
Yeah, so that's real, isn't it? Will Caulfield happen or not happen? Which is sort of the unanswerable, right?
Well, depends who you speak to, but there's levels of confidence that they'll get there in the end.
That's the generations-old question.
Yeah. I've actually... have you been out to Casey?
No, I haven't.
No. I went out and did a thorough tour of it at the start of last year. The facilities out there are superb. They are magnificent facilities out there. It's just the getting there. And you can... That shouldn't be the millstone around your neck. We've waited since the late 70s to 80s to get a home base, Jared. So that is something that is fundamentally non-negotiable, but it can't hold you back. That can't be the reason why.
Yep. So in the Buckley contemplation is that he had Collingwood, which is just so good, so central, so well supported, huge audience all the time. So it'll be a vastly different experience.
That is real.
At Melbourne, that part of it.
That is real, Jared.
All right. It's looking certain that Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera is leaving.
I'm saying overreaction. I might be swimming against the tide. I'm saying Nasiah is staying at St Kilda and will sign a contract and stay with the Saints.
That would change things immeasurably.
We'll just roll the tape on that. With no... I'm saying he's staying. I think they might announce it this week. Wow. There you go.
Yeah, that'd be big.
So... I've got no reason to say that, Jared. Just a gut feel.
Okay.
And I hope that he does. What about St Kilda making a mess of the off-season before it's even begun?
Also, it depends entirely on what you've just put forward. So I'll put an asterisk.
Okay.
It's a provisional reel. Because once in the public domain, Cal Wilkie, heart and soul player, once his grievances are aired, I think that's your signal was we haven't kept everybody together. Now, it doesn't mean it's irretrievable. You'd have to be inside to understand that. But they do, if they lose Windhager because they were inattentive, who knows whether that happens. If they lose Wanganeen-Milera because somebody got in the door, if they're going to dispense with players like Marshall and Steele, how does that end up looking? So it's delicate. And we'll know during the trade period, but you hate it when a player like that, when those grievances are made public and there are multiple sources, okay, so that's real.
What about if they get the Koning, they keep Marshall, they keep Wanganeen-Milera, they keep Windhager, they attract one or two?
Yeah. And that's it. That's the dream, isn't it?
That's your job.
You've got to get net gains out of this period of time.
So it's a big week.
And our last one, as we keep visual towards Saturday night, is the Magpies are all in. We've seen it training today. So McCreery and Hill are on the track. McCreery's got to be so delicate with a couple of hamstrings. Hill, is it all chips in on Saturday night?
Overreaction.
Okay.
Because that says that sells unnecessary risk. That says that they're at a stage where they have to take unnecessary risk, or that there's a slight whiff of desperation. They'll give him every chance because they want him to play, they want Hill to play, because they fix an area of the ground that they're really vulnerable in. So that's not to suggest they won't be pushing them really hard, but you don't take unnecessary risk. They still back themselves if one or two or both of those boys don't get up. So they'll push really hard, and then Wednesday night they'll sit down and make the best decision for whatever it is, and they'll head over there a confident team, Jared. They'll be confident going to Adelaide.
It was good to see Jeremy Howe out on the track. So obviously he's in the concussion protocols, but given how heavy that blow was and he went to hospital, it was just reassuring to see him back around the club and well enough to be out there. So all eyes to Saturday night when the Pies travel to face the Crows. All eyes to Thursday night. AFLW has centre stage, standalone on opening night, and it's a reprise of 10 years ago. And the two captains are with us. Abby and Ruby leading these two famous clubs, Carlton and Collingwood. Season 10 of AFLW, our special Players' Night.
The Turning Point, brought to you by Ashley and Martin.
This Ashley and Martin turning point was profound and lasting. February 3, 2017. They had to shut the gates. A historic opening night of AFLW between the Blues and the Pies. Ruby was part of that Magpie team that night as a teenager. The Blues would run out winners, but it really was a social movement as much as a game. It lit the path for what has come 10 years on, as this game is going to be reprised at the start of a fresh season. All who are there still talk about it to this very day. So Thursday night, you'll see it right here on Fox Footy. Same ground, same teams, 10 years on, Carlton and Collingwood.
Before you introduce, Abby was there too.
As
the bell ringer.
Oh, it's too good. Abby McKay, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Slasher, great to see you here.
Good to be here.
Surprise Dad with a personalised video this Father's Day. So Swish, our sponsors on Players' Night. So what was your role that night?
I had a big role. I rang the historic Carlton bell before all the girls ran out. So I was on the field as they were running out, and I kind of got to feel the atmosphere as well. So it was a pretty amazing night.
What are your memories?
I had 17 of my family and friends come over from WA to surprise me before the game. So that was already pretty overwhelming. But I remember, we heard probably 14,000 were going to be there. So we thought, oh, geez, how good's that? And then you walk out for that final warm-up before game time, and it was just packed, and there was people jumping over the fence, and we'd sort of post-game seeing the video of Gil going out and saying, sorry, guys, you can't come in. You sort of knew that you were a part of something bigger than just a football game.
So for you, Ab, from there, being part of a famous football family who I assume most people would know, but your father was the captain of the Carlton Football Club, and I've played against him many times. He was an outstanding State of Origin footballer. I just had to clear that off. So was this always... Well, it wouldn't always have been what you'd look forward to, because it wasn't there for you all the years of your youth.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, it just wasn't a pathway, and I probably wasn't really interested, to be honest. Probably because I didn't see girls older than me playing footy, and my brother did Auskick and stuff like that, and I kind of followed him around a little bit, but wasn't too interested. And when I was about 14, my mum actually started up a girls' club at our local footy club, and I just loved it. From there, a bunch of school friends, we did not take it seriously at all. We would have been so annoying, but absolutely loved it, and kind of then just followed that traditional pathway up as the AFLW got introduced, and it was just perfect timing.
And you're a trailblazer being a part of it. You're a West Australian girl. Was it your love of footy, and were you kicking it around early?
Yeah, I took it up when I was 4. Dad couldn't keep me away from it. My older brother was playing, and Dad was his coach all the way through juniors, but then had to stop at the age of 11, was the only girl in the team, and that's when basketball took over, and didn't sort of touch a footy. Had a bit of a kick at my brother's games or whatever with my dad at half-time, but otherwise was just high-level basketball. I thought I was going to go to college and do all that, and then picked a footy back up at about 16 when I heard there were a few girls at East Fremantle having a kick around, and then, 2 years later they're going, righto, we're going to do an AFLW draft. And so I feel like I was sort of in that perfect sweet spot of 18 years old and get to experience all the firsts of the competition, but also now sort of in a really exciting part of my career where I get to see these really talented youngsters come through and an exciting part of the competition.
So what stage during that draft, when it got to 136, did you think, I might have missed the boat here?
Well, I thought, pick 137. So I think there was 145 in that draft. So it was a long wait. There was a couple hours. But I'd put my faith in Collingwood. You had to nominate whether you stay in the WA draft, play for Fremantle or go to Collingwood. And I'd put my trust in Collingwood. They said they were going to pick me up. They said it was going to be with their last pick. It ended up being their second last pick. So they did the righty by me on that one. It was a long wait, but I did trust that they were going to stay true to their word. And
now
they
you're
did.
captain, Rube, so this will be recounted over time, like we do with Chris Grant and James Hird, who were... Chris Grant was 105 or something, and that's what happens now.
Yeah.
So well done, the captain of the football club.
And father, daughter and sister's going to be playing as well. So Sophie plays with you on Thursday night?
Yep, Sophie will be making her debut on Thursday night, which is very exciting for our whole family. I think she's had a great time since she's come in. She has a lot of energy. She's called the Energizer Bunny. So she brings lots of energy, and like Rube said, there's so many young girls with such great skill coming through, and she's just one of those girls. So I'm super excited to see her play, and I'm just really happy that she's going to make her debut in round one, which is really exciting for her.
We asked for a little bit of access to the family album.
Oh, no.
So at the risk of embarrassing you, Soph, we want you to just take us back to these moments in time.
Oh, wow.
Look at ya.
Oh, that's pretty cute. That was, I reckon, footy day at school one year, and Sophie actually one year wanted to go as Sydney Swans just to annoy Dad, and if you've met my dad, he's pretty relaxed, and he basically just looked at her like, I don't care. Nice try. And she went back to Carlton pretty quickly after that.
What sort of player? I watched a video of Sophie today. There's Andrew, of course. What sort of... Oh, that's you guys.
Yeah. That's me and my brother. Soph's got red hair. She's not in that one.
But she's certainly an energetic... what sort of player is she?
Yeah, she's just super dynamic. She's one of those players, she just puts it on her boot and somehow it rolls through the goals and everyone's like, what? How did that happen? Something that I wish I probably had a bit in me. But she's super dynamic, super skillful, and, just super bubbly personality on the field as well.
No, they're great memories. Great memories.
They're not good.
Rube, so the Magpies haven't yet amounted to much in the AFLW, and you're coming off the wooden spoon. How determined, what level of optimism do you have that the rise might be on? Yeah,
no, massively optimistic. I think we've got a really good opportunity. Obviously, we don't shy away from last year. It was pretty disappointing for us, and, we don't just put that down to injuries. Yeah, we had some key players out, but, that's on us as well to continue to drive what we want to achieve and look like and how resilient we are as a team. And I think we've put in some really good things to be able to drive that and take steps forward. We've got some exciting youngsters come in as well, like a lot of teams have. Like this last draft is just incredible, the talent coming through.
You've got the number one pick. Tell us about her.
Yeah, Ash Centra.
You were raving about her on Saturday night.
Yeah, she's just a talent. Her footy IQ is incredible. For the skill that she has, she's an incredibly selfless player, to the point where, she'll be in the forward 50 and she'll look to pass it off and I almost have to go, mate, you've already got the best kick in our team. How about you have a ping? But for her, as long as she's playing fun footy, she's going to do great, and she's going to continue to grow at her own pace, and we just want to, create an environment that she's going to enjoy. We're not going to put the pressure on her to completely change the game. Not one player is going to be able to do that, but it's going to be really exciting to see what she can do for us and for AFLW as a whole, because really there's not been a player as talked about as Ash in the AFLW yet, kind of like Harley was in the men's. So with that comes the pressure, but we want to make sure we take that pressure off her shoulders and just let the kid play and have fun and live out a dream that she's always had.
And where might the Blues fit into the scheme of things, Ab?
Yeah, I don't know. I think right now we're just focusing on round one. I mean, obviously we would love to make finals, and I think if you're not wanting to make finals, you probably shouldn't be there. So we'd absolutely love to make finals, but just focusing in on round one right now, and hopefully we can get the win against Rubes.
Tell us both, you first, Abby, your leadership style. Tell me what sort of captain you will be.
Yeah, it's a weird question. Everyone always asks that. I feel like I try and come from an understanding point of view. I feel like I'm very good at understanding that everyone deals with things differently. Everyone needs, you know, things told to them in a different way to help understand them better. So I feel like I try and understand each individual's kind of needs and wants and go from there, and obviously try and cater for all of them as best I can.
What about if you've got a recidivist that just keeps...
Who?
I don't even know what that word
what
is.
is that?
Someone that keeps turning up late, for instance, time after time, compromises the way you train. You've had to talk to her, you've had to talk to her again, then the third time. What sort of style have we got?
I feel like you've got to probably put your foot down after the third time, I think. I think it's kind of like you need to rock up on time, otherwise there's going to be some serious consequences.
I know you've got that capacity.
Yeah, just the backhand. No, I'm kidding. No, not at all.
Well, and captain of... I mean, these are mighty football clubs. These are two of the biggest, most recognisable brands in our game, and you two girls are sitting at the top of the tree. It's an awesome responsibility.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be really special to be able to sort of lead the team out on Thursday night and hopefully in front of a really big crowd. But I mean, like the captaincy, like for me, it is incredible, and you sort of think about it, you go, wow, how have I ended up in this position? And there's probably at times a little bit, you might feel the same, as a bit of imposter syndrome, because I've had two incredible captains in Bree Davey and Steph Chiocci to be able to learn off, and I'm like, if I can do half as good of a job as they've done, I'm going to be, you know, I'll be happy when I look back. So, yeah, it's that sort of, you want to do things your own way as well, and you want to bring your own personality to it. So I think for me, like a lot of my captaincy, you wouldn't believe it, but the talking's the easy part for me. So the game day rev-ups and all of that, that's what that's fun to me. What, to me, I'm going to have to learn is, you know, the off-field, the decision-making and the way to go about situations is probably the one that I'm going to have to grow in.
If this game will, and it will, this AFLW game is continue to go. These two, as ambassadors, it just says it's in great hands. And we've got to know Rube over a long period of time. We're really proud of what you do and what you can achieve. And
Thanks,
Abby,
guys.
you're clearly a fantastic person to have at the helm of this football club, and you've got great DNA through the Carlton team, and this is what the AFLW needs, and we'll support you all to the hilt and get stuck into it on Thursday night.
No, we appreciate it. Yeah, we just want to see as many people as possible get to the game at Icon Park. So get your tickets now, jump online. We want to see a packed stadium celebrating the 10th season. So, yeah, it'll be a great night.
All right, we'll be watching. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Abby and Ruby, the captains of Carlton and Collingwood, are heading towards Thursday night, the start of the AFLW season. How will we get schooled on the rules? The rules are being tested right now. Ray Chamberlain, he's had the whistle blown on this the whole way through.
You need to calm down. We don't talk to one another like that.
Ray Chamberlain, see you next Tuesday. It's a hotbed already. The pushing of opponents carelessly, illegally, and into vulnerable positions.
I think we need to report that. I think it falls under rough conduct, and I think it's unnecessary and unreasonable in the circumstances. And so when a player's interfered with and met in a way that they can't protect themselves and an injury ensues, that's problematic.
He has been vigilant on this since the opening days of the season. Razor's Edge. Ray Chamberlain, welcome.
Good to be here, guys.
The Tribunal is back, so rather than deal in theories, let's find out. David Zeta, how's it landed?
Well, Dylan Shiel has been handed a one-match ban by the AFL Tribunal. This was a lengthy deliberation, one of the longest of the year. Now, it is careless conduct with high impact and body contact. That's how this charge will shape out when it comes onto a charge sheet. Now, just to start with the last bit first in the Tribunal's reasons delivered by Renee Enbom a short time ago, there was a significant effect on Lual as a result of this incident, but it has not been judged based on the impact to Lual. This was about the impact to Mark O'Connor. The Tribunal found that the forceful push on him from Dylan Shiel was unreasonable in the circumstances. He breached his duty of care by pushing O'Connor in the way that he did. They don't accept that Shiel had eyes on the ball at all times, and even if he didn't see other players, he should have reasonably foreseen that other players would be coming into the line of fire given the length of time the ball was in the air. And while O'Connor was not injured, there were the circumstances that were very dangerous. There was significant potential for injury to O'Connor. And had Lual's body position been slightly different, O'Connor's head or face could have made forceful contact with the hip or knee of Lual. The potential for a concussion or facial injury was real. So they've said ultimately careless conduct with body contact and high impact, a one-match ban for Dylan Shiel after a marathon tribunal case.
All right, so they put impact through low, through medium and up to high to get to the football outcome. That's a football outcome over a legal outcome.
Good. It's a good outcome. And had he been knocked out, and he would have got 3, which is in line with what we saw with Ryan Mansell.
What do you say, Ray?
I watch these things through an umpire's lens, so it's always predicated around the safety element. And this action, which we've been talking about since the pre-season, it needs to go. And I was talking upstairs, and the question I keep asking myself is, when did this start? And then what was the catalyst to it? And I've heard different people with different views. You know, is it tied to umpires pulling out of pushing the back as a free kick in marking contests? This threshold that went through has increased. I don't know, but what I do know is that action is very dangerous. The players have a duty of care to one another, and I think that's a really reasonable outcome.
So the crackdown will come in the off-season. It probably could have come right at the start of this season. I think it's an easy action to remove from the game.
Jared, I could nearly guarantee you it won't happen again this season. And if Dylan's the one that has to take the week, well, for the good of the game, so be it. That's not, as I said earlier, this was, that was Gimby who got off when he shouldn't have. So they should have jumped on that straight away. And then, Razor, you can talk through...
Well, these ones here are different in that, it's in the side, 2 players coming together. That one there's no real force. He trails him in. Whereas the other ones are clear actions where they're not in a contest. It's a clear and distinct forceful shove which causes the player to get catapulted into a contest uncontrolled in a manner that they shouldn't reasonably expect to be. And that's where the danger occurs. Because generally speaking, Gary, you've played in these marking contests, I haven't, but when the contact comes in a manner in which you're expecting, you're trained to be able to handle that. It's the other stuff that creates the catastrophe.
Which is not to say there's not going to be marking contests where blokes have got eyes on the ball and you use your body, shoulder to shoulder, and you might cannon into the bloke next to you. That's okay. I can live with that. This is a contact sport. That's a double-handed shove into oncoming traffic where the player who gets shoved, in that instance, is not in control of himself. And then we can't have it.
Yep, so that was the 3 weeks for Mansell, and then we had the fine for Myercheck was the other one that went through prior to tonight.
Yeah, and I can only assume, and Jared, you're more au fait with the metrics and the matrix and the way it impacts, but I assume that's only because of what the outcome was in relation to the action. But I look at that and I find it very difficult to find any discernible difference between that and Mansell. So for me, when we see this action on a football field, players need to miss weeks.
How he's not. That is exactly the same.
Yeah, so that was left as low, and as of tonight, that's been bumped up to high. So that gives you the comparison pieces of how we've moved from a fine to...
Well, if you're a team that's contending and there's 9 in a final series and you're a player, then you're not doing that for the rest of the year if you want to play in big finals.
All right, we're staying with key forwards. There are a set of incidents across the weekend that we were so curious about. The Friday night free kick, there are a couple to Jeremy Cameron late. 2 opponents, Redmond comes back with the ball. From the moment this happened, we're going, right, we want to know, we want to understand this.
Yeah, I can put you out of... This is just a mistake. Okay. So our umpire identifies Redmond coming back with the flight of the ball, so that's a flag for an umpire. And initially Redmond he takes a look to get a gauge of where Jeremy Cameron is. That's fine, that's not a free kick. But from that point on, Mason Redmond does nothing other than reference and track the football, which he's permitted to do. Great spoil from Blackstone, and Jeremy Cameron's allowed to contest that football in that way. And
is he allowed to contest that and use his knee and not get a touch on the ball?
As in Jeremy Cameron, are you referencing? If it had the spoil not occurred, that ball would have been in his hand. So it's a genuine attempt to contest the football. Right. His sole objective is to contest the football. So yes, he can. And the umpire looking back at that would have just conceded it's a free kick.
Then Laverde. Does that meet the threshold?
So in my opinion, it does.
Yes.
Jared, absolutely it does. So he doesn't protect space. Laverde puts him through and he creates the space with the bump push in the middle of the back, which you're not permitted to do in a marking contest. I guess the challenge for us, Jared, is that we use that round 1 reference with De Goey and Bukukamis, and I feel as though they're either identical or that's less than Buckley, and we were told it didn't meet the threshold. So that's the challenge for the umpiring department to articulate to the football community.
2 contests between Caminiti and Lynch on Saturday afternoon. I reckon Lynch got cleverer and cleverer as this went on. Are these free kicks or not?
So these are warranted free kicks. In this instance here with Caminiti, the sole objective has got to be to contest the football. And I would argue that it's a secondary reference point. He comes across, protects the Vikings' back, steps off his line and puts Lynch out. Had the Viking not been there, Gary, and those actions and behaviours took place in that manner, it would be able to justifiably be saying Caminiti's just trying to contest the football.
If he marks it.
Yeah, because then he would mark it, right? And it would have been a mark, no drama. But by virtue of the fact that he's never going for the football, he's just protecting his teammates'
and
back.
And this is minutes later.
It's a free kick. Yeah, and exactly the same here, Jared. So this one here, again, no intention to contest the football. He's just protecting the space for his teammate. 2-on-1's a cue for our umpires, and so warranted free kick.
He can make contact, can't he?
Absolutely.
It just can't be bowling.
It's the nuance piece, Gary. So I don't think you need to go 11 out of 10. You gain possession, and a solid 7 will get the job done.
Ripping the headband off, free kick?
Yeah, so this falls under misconduct, OK, and there's a band. OK, so let me give you some other examples.
A
headband. What's interesting here is he's been a rascal and he's not letting the big fella run down and get to the next act of play. So as an umpire, you'd like to potentially get involved and just let them get on their merry way before the headband gets ripped off. Other examples might be throw a boot away, Mason Cox's goggles, squirting a water bottle in a person's face, throwing a clump of grass. These are examples of misconduct free kicks.
Bristol's owed a free kick.
I just got to say, they could have stamped this out back in the day.
What were they doing back then? Gary, I texted a certain player and I said, tell him, stop being Bruce Dool, the flying doormat's retired. He didn't know who I was talking about, Rowan Marshall.
There's a more famous one than that, involving Kevin Ablett, I think, Hawthorn.
We're all the wiser. Thanks, Ray.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Bit of Razor's Edge. Tomorrow night, Simon Goodwin will be with us at the desk from the early season traumas at 0 and 5 and what Simon lived through then to trying to recover the season, which Melbourne did for a period of time. A brutal axing by the board at the meeting last week. The full story of 2025 with Simon Goodwin tomorrow night at the desk.
He looks weird in a beanie.
No, he doesn't. I like it. Oh, you look great too, Kingy.
Cheers, Ross.
Slate, let's go.
Park it like it's hard. Park it like it's hard. Get an attitude.
Who taught you how to kick sidewinder style?
Have you heard?
No.
You're the person.
Oh, hang on.
I'm copied. I was a massive Brisbane.
Oh, yes. There we go. I'm done. Righto. See you later.
Most people let them don't go for free. I want to punch him back. I want to kiss him.
Oh, selfie. Let's get a selfie.
I did like it when Brian reminded him that he said it would never work at league level. Midweek tackle in a moment. The BCNA auction, more than 500 bids after we mentioned this last night. Oscar Baker's match-worn jumper, Jack Viney's boots from Sunday, signed match balls, corporate boxes. So use the website there on the screen.
It's stuck into it.
Gaz, have you got more to add to
one
Archie
of my
Roberts'
trusted six has come through. Archie Roberts, the 9th most possessions after 24 games since 1999. And the 6th most uncontested possessions after 24 games. The case is building for Archie Roberts in the Rising Star race.
You'll make some placards next. Vote one.
I'm going to come back tomorrow night with even more.
All right, let's head to the midweek tackle.